Good afternoon. My name is Monsignor Larry Beeson, and I'll be giving a tour of the stained glass windows here at the St. Ambrose Cathedral in Des Moines, Iowa. In 1940, Bishop Bergen, Bishop of the Diocese of Des Moines, was celebrating the 25th year of ordination to the priesthood. The cathedral is 50 years old, and it was the 150th anniversary of the consecration of Bishop John Carroll, the first bishop of the United States hierarchy, and also it was the 400th anniversary of the Coronado expedition. To celebrate all these anniversaries, the cathedral was being renovated and new windows were installed. The life, death, resurrection, and ascension of Jesus are in the 10 windows portrayed over the sanctuary. The upper part of the windows are from the New Testament. The lower part are places in the Old Testament prophesying the coming of the Messiah. They begin with original sin and the expulsion from the garden, and they end with the restoration of Jonah. Proceeding down the west side of the cathedral, we observe the windows of St. Ambrose and St. Augustine. St. Ambrose is the patron of the cathedral, and he baptized St. Augustine after his conversion in 387. The first bishop of Des Moines had St. Augustine as his first name, Austin. There are sayings written in the windows for your prayer and meditation. An example is that St. Ambrose quotation is, "Wars and the sea, and not the number of virgins, are the destroyers of humankind." Augustine says, "Who are the elect? You, if you wish it." The first of the historical windows is next. Portrayed here is Francisco Coronado seated on a horse. It is the 400th anniversary of his exploration. A contemporary is Hernando de Soto being buried in the waters of the Mississippi River. St. Junipero is portrayed also, the founder of many cities in California. The next lancet window portrays Christ the worker. The tradition is that Jesus is the carpenter's son. He is pictured here with the sickle in his hand. Next to this is the window of St. Michael the Archangel. Many are acquainted with his prayer. Now we come to the second historical window. Pictured in this window is John Carroll kneeling at his consecration. He is the first bishop in the United States hierarchy. In 1940, the 140th anniversary of his event is pictured here. And below this window is a picture of Pauline Marie Jericho, foundress of the propagation of the faith. Also pictured are the missionaries Samuel Mazzucchelli, and next to him is Father Hattenberger celebrating Mass at Fort Des Moines. The flag of France and the flag of the United States are at the bottom of the window. The second bishop of the Diocese of Des Moines was Bishop Thomas Drum. He was a pastor in the Archdiocese of Dubuque and replaced Bishop Dowling, who became the Archbishop of St. Paul. Bishop Drum's first name was Thomas. And in this window, we have St. Thomas Aquinas, who is the patron of the Catholic school system. He was a great theologian. And next to this window pictured is St. Gerald, and he is the namesake of the third bishop of Des Moines, Bishop Gerald T. Bergen. St. Gerald was a bishop in Europe. Bishop Bergen became the Archbishop of Omaha after finishing his time here in Des Moines. Here we have the third historical window. In this window, we see a Jesuit missionary, Father de Smet, who worked tirelessly in Council Bluffs and as a missionary among the native peoples. In the panels below, we see both men and women, religious, in their respective roles in the Benedictine tradition. The Benedictine men belong to St. Benedict Monastery in Atchison, Kansas. And the Benedictine women belong to St. Scholastica. They were involved in pastoral work and education within the Diocese of Des Moines for many years. Also, the same window portrays the former Christ Child Home and the former St. Gabriel Monastery. The coat of arms of the Davenport Diocese and the flag of Spain are pictured at the bottom of this window. On this same side, we have the last two windows, the one dedicated to our guardian angels, and the final window dedicated to St. Clare. St. Clare is holding a monstrance, and when her convent was being attacked, she brought out the Blessed Sacrament to ward off the enemy. It worked. The Diocese of Des Moines was established on August 12, 1911, the feast of St. Clare. Let us now turn towards the east side of the cathedral and continue our journey. The southernmost window is the beloved patron of the diocesan priests, St. John Vianney. He was a pastor of a small town in France called Ars. In that capacity, he was known all over the world for his ministry in the confessional. He was also famous for his pastoral sermons. A little quotation, "The more we pray, the more we like to pray." In the adjoining window is St. Vincent de Paul. St. Vincent is famous all over the world for his care for the poor. There are several stores in the Des Moines area that offer services to the poor. The next historical window contains the 8 Jesuit martyrs called the North American Martyrs, who gave their lives working among the Huron Indians in New York and Canada. Another Jesuit, Father Van Quackenborn, worked in Iowa in the very earliest days. Bishop Loris arrived in Iowa in 1839. He became the first bishop in Iowa, coming from France. In 1840, he ordained the first priests in this area. Pictured in the window is in 1918, Bishop Dowling is blessing what was once known as Dowling College. This later became Dowling Catholic High School. The bottom of the window shows the coat of arms of Dubuque and St. Louis. Continuing along the wall, there is a window of St. Isidore. St. Isidore is from Spain. He was a devoted Catholic farmer who attended Mass each day. Lest the farm work be lacking, the angels would farm in his absence. The next window is for St. Paul the Apostle to the Gentiles. In the beginning, he persecuted the Christians. After his conversion, on the way to Damascus, he became a great supporter of Jesus and the church. Much of the New Testament contains the letters of St. Paul. And a quotation, "For me, to live is Christ, to die is gain." And there is a large sword in the window because he was beheaded in Rome. The next historical window shows Lord Calvert seated, sending his brother to found the colony of Maryland. This is the only colony that admitted Catholics. Beneath the Calverts is the picture of Marquette and Joliet on the Mississippi River. They gave an early account about their time exploring on the Wisconsin and Mississippi rivers. In the picture below them is a picture of Jean-Marie Cardinal, a hero of the Revolutionary War. He was killed in the war, the only Iowan offered up to the cause in the Revolutionary War. A Franciscan friar is pictured who made some of the first visits to Iowa, Father Hennepin. Also in the window, Julian Dubuque is pictured carrying a large cross. He established the city of Dubuque. The coat of arms of Dubuque and New Orleans are at the bottom. The next window is of St. Joseph, the patron of the Universal Church, foster father of Jesus. The next window is the patroness of the United States under the title, The Immaculate Conception, the Mother of God. Next is the historical window where many things began. Christopher Columbus lands in the New World. He was a faithful and devout son of the church and arrived on October 12, 1492, carrying a large cross. Two other saints are included in this window. Kateri Tekakwitha, the lily of the Mohawks, is a saint in the New World. Another saint is St. Martin de Porres, who led such an exemplary life in Peru. He is the apostle of charity of the South. The first window in the sanctuary is St. John Chrysostom. He is an Eastern doctor of the church and was named Golden Mouth because of his great preaching and the quotation, "Never be cast down. One thing alone is fearful, that is sin." The other Eastern doctor of the church is St. Basil, who is the father of Eastern monasticism. And his quotation, "There may be obstacles, but the blessedness of peace will be recognized." That concludes our tour of the St. Ambrose Cathedral stained glass windows. I hope that you have a very blessed day.